What's going on, everybody? It's Brian Tripp. Welcome back to another episode of the REI Live podcast, where we interview the very best real estate investors, entrepreneurs, and business leaders all throughout the country. And today's no different. Today we have my good friend, Mr. DJ Thielen, on the show. How's it going today, DJ?
What's up, man? Good to see you, buddy.
Great to see you. Before we even get going, first of all, DJ, I don't know a ton about you, but I know you've done some wholesaling. I know you've done a lot of real estate investing. You're involved with Grant Cardone, and I want to talk about that too. But just give people just a brief background of what you've done in real estate, and I want to talk about your origin story too when you get done with that here in a second. But give me your brief real estate background, what you're up to today.
Oh man, yeah, this is gonna blow your mind. So long story short, I, from a real estate perspective, not life, well, I'll give you the rundown, the recap real quick. So I got into real estate in 2005. I left professional baseball. I was a San Francisco Giants 6th pick in 1991. I was very blessed. I was very gifted athletically. Had a son unplanned in 96. He had some breathing issues, and I didn't have a dad. I was raised by a single mom, my brother and I. So grew up very poor, had ADD, hated school, had some abuse, no dad in the mix. So, back in the 70s and 80s, that wasn't not a lot of chips in my favor. So, but I left baseball. My son was born in 96, unplanned, and like most kids. And what happened was he had some breathing issues, and, not having a dad, I always said, hey, when I have a kid, I want to be there. So I decided, Brian, I was going to take a year off and go back, and never did. And, so that after I left that, I started figuring out life a little. Sold a company in the early 2000s. I took some of that money, and I didn't know anything about real estate. So I jumped into, I went to a Robert Kiyosaki. What do you do, right? When you don't know anything? It's like, I went to a Robert Kiyosaki event, the free, hey, I'm in town. And actually back then it was actually Robert himself. It wasn't like some guy with slick hair and, so basically, I went and saw them, and they had this call to action. It was $4,000 for a weekend. So I did that, and I went to the weekend event in 2005, and I came away with the big, thick books. We all been there, right? And I said, hey, I'm yeah, exactly. Yeah, I still got a bunch in my garage if you want them. But basically, what happened was, I grew up learning by doing. I didn't learn how to hit a baseball reading a book. I didn't learn how to build a business and sell it reading a book. I've my whole life I've learned by doing, and I knew that about me at least. And this is 17 years ago almost. So what happened was I sold a company, had a little money, and I had a mutual acquaintance that I knew that was buying homes in the Pittsburgh, PA region, really cheap, right? Like $5,000, $10,000. I said, man, I can get in on this. So I jumped in, acquired some properties really cheap, flew out there, was a total, can I say shit show? Can I say that? But it was a total mess, right? And what happened was, though, it led me there, right? So my first investing experience, I knew that I wanted to try it out and learn in a low-cost, low-risk area. I was living in Seattle, Washington at the time. And I knew that if I can cut my teeth in a low-cost, cheap area, figure this game out, then I can start doing deals where I'm at in Seattle. What happened with that is my first year, I picked up a couple dozen rentals. I had friends and family see what I was doing, thought I was a crazy, which I kind of was, right? And that's a tip, by the way. If everyone around you is leaning on you saying, man, that's really wild, I don't know that I would buy properties across. Dude, everybody in my inner circle told me, you're a nut, you're going to lose your money, don't do it. So I did it. The next year, people were now they're wanting on board, right? They're like, hey man, I know I told you not to do that, but hook me up, man. Get me some of those. So I started helping a couple friends and family get deals. And fast forward now, 17 years later, I created a turnkey, out-of-state turnkey organization. And we've sold over 4,000 properties in Ohio, Pennsylvania, Indiana, and Michigan. To investors. And essentially, that's it. So what started as I just wanted to be an investor kind of grew in I guess, morphed into a crazy business.
And I want to, you just gave me a ton there, and I want to kind of touch on some of this stuff as we go. But DJ, I don't want to skip over this part because I'm a baseball guy. I'm a huge baseball fan. Grew up right outside of Chicago, and actually this little rally towel right there, if you can see it, is from Game 7 of the World Series when the Cubs played the Indians. It was the greatest day of my life. I got to go to the World Series and watch the Cubs break a 108-year streak. So I'm a big baseball guy. So DJ, I had to look you up.
Dude, I got a picture with Harry Carey.
I met Harry Carey when I was a kid, and I didn't get a picture, and it's one of my big regrets that I never got a picture. But that's awesome, man. That's awesome. But I don't want to skip over this because I pulled up your statistics from minor league baseball. And DJ, I want to go through this real quick. You're playing A ball in 1992 with Clinton.
Yeah.
And you hit 244. And that was your best batting average. Come on, man. 244 in A ball.
I know. I was a home run hitter, man. That was, I hit 10 home runs that year. The next year, including the playoffs, I hit 17. And I think the only other person in our league that hit more was a guy named Charles Johnson. So back in the early 90s, if you were in the minor leagues, if in the early 90s, if you cracked 20 home runs, you were a beast. You know, it was just different back then. I think John Jaha was hitting 30. But that was a different era. It's funny. I talk to people now, they're like, bro, if you played now, you'd crack 40 every year. Right. But different era, the ball's different, the mound's lower. Obviously we're out of the steroids era, but baseball is completely different than it was in the early 90s for sure. Yeah.
In 80s and early 90s.
Yeah. And you know what, Brian, this is to parlay on that. So I was one of our top out of 150 minor league players. I was rated as our number 8 prospect in the whole organization. And, but what happened was my highs were really high and my lows were really low because I didn't understand. I wasn't mature emotionally. Like people go, dude, you outworked? You hear the stories, man, I outworked everybody. I did this. Dude, I was the exact opposite. I was God gifted. Like I was hitting balls 500 plus feet when I was 17 years old. So like, I just had the talent, but I didn't understand in college. I hit, almost 400 was junior college player of the year for the entire country. And then you get into playing with guys that are older. And when I signed in 91, I was 19, the only teenagers in our league that year. To give you a point of reference, you didn't see teenagers kind of at that level back then. The only teenagers were me, a guy named Todd Hollingsworth, who was, rookie of the year, a guy named Sean Estes that pitched for 10 years, and a guy named Mike Hampton. We're the only teenagers in the league that year. So I was playing with guys that were a lot older, a lot more mature. I just didn't, my downfall was, as gifted as I was, I didn't understand like all the stuff that I didn't do in baseball, dealing with the ups and downs, how to stay positive, right? I take all the stuff that I was a mental midget and I didn't know how to do back then and apply it to life now. And it's, so yeah, man, baseball is very in line with life, dealing with failures. How do you deal with failures? How do you deal with strikeouts?
So let's make that transition right now because it's really important. And we talk about this a lot on the show, but just the mental aspect in dealing with, especially if you're sitting there talking about a lot of folks who watch our YouTube channel they're wholesalers trying to break into wholesaling. They're fix and flippers, they're rehabbers, things like that, where you do have high highs and low lows because most of us don't have that consistency and that consistent business. Talk about just transitioning from playing baseball where it's like that and the admitted immaturity to maturing and having to deal with that from a business perspective.
Oh yeah, man. Listen, here's the problem. We're wired. And listen, I don't want to say it's not our fault. I'm an accountability guy, right? But we're wired. Think about this. We're wired from an early age that the external things make me happy. So when I'm a kid, right? I'm sad, I'm crying. Hey, you want a sucker? Do you want some candy? Do you want to go to the park later? Do you want cotton candy? So we're literally programmed from our parents and grandparents, not intentionally, but we're literally programmed that the external world will make us will create happiness. And actually, so it's like something external that I'm given is supposed to make me happy, when actually, let me rephrase that. We're taught that when, like in baseball, right? Man, I struck out, pissed me off, made me mad, right? So
well, DJ, just real quick to interrupt. You must have been mad a lot, because I'm looking at your strikeout totals, and
yeah, I was mad a lot. Yeah, I was mad a lot. Yeah, no, but what happened too, Brian, is that when we're taught that what happens to us dictates how we feel, right? In actuality, what I've come to master and understand is how we feel will dictate what happens to us. And so, and we're not taught that and wired that way and programmed that way. So how did I build a 7 scale to 8 and beyond figure business? Because I started gaining, work ethic, but it's emotional intelligence. It's understanding I got to do the freaking work every day. No one's coming to save my ass. Mm-hmm. It's on me. Mm-hmm. I need to create a healthy routine. First of all, you got to set a target. So you got to set a target within a specific time frame. In 6 months, I want to have $100,000 in my bank account, and I want to have $5,000 a month in passive income. You need to set a clear target with a specific date. Once you do that, now I can create. Now, what are the habits, routines, and things that person that would have that would do every single day, whether they felt like it or not, by the way, right? And that's really the key, is showing up every day, putting yourself in a state of happiness and joy and bliss, exercise. There's things, I'm 50. I saw a guy the other day that I was 10 days older than. And I sent to my brother, he's like, bro, that guy looks like he's 80. Right. So how do you achieve that? Well, it's routine. It's healthy. It's putting yourself in how we feel actually dictates what happens to us, not what happens to us dictates how we feel. Mm-hmm. So there's some mental switches that I was able to figure out. And man, it's just kind of going that way. And a lot of times too, Brian, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Oh yeah. A lot of times people think that, I want to, so you hear this a lot with wholesalers. Now, with that said, 6 years ago, I started coaching and mentoring people that were wholesaling and flipping with my strategy. Have coached literally hundreds of people now. And the thing is, what do you hear a lot? I want to do a deal. I just got to do a deal. No, man, you need to. So they focus on the result. And that's why they keep chasing deals, I call it. You got to focus on the income producing activity that's going to lead to the result, right? So what do I need to do a deal? Focus on that and do that. The deal will naturally progress and happen.
Right.
But don't think about, I got to do a deal. And now it's just total chaos. So I think where I see a lot of wholesalers, 99% of them are broke and stuff and struggling. And the reason is, and the ones that, listen, the main reason I think people get stuck is, one, they don't get a mentor, which is a massive freaking mistake. They don't seek out somebody that's done what they want to do. Can you see me okay?
Yep.
Okay. They don't seek out, want to see if my phone's getting hot here. They don't seek out someone that's done what they want to do and actually follow through on that. And I just want to make sure I don't lose you here. Here, let me move out of the sun. I'm going to move over here. Is that okay?
Absolutely.
Okay. My screen looked like it was getting a little hot. Okay. So I think that people get stuck for a lot of reasons, but mostly is they just don't, they don't get a lot of times people don't need more information. They need instruction. They need someone that's done it and say, dude, listen, do this, and do it every day, whether you feel like it or not, whether you make money or not. And eventually you're going to create exactly what you want. And you got to dumb it down. And, one of my good friends, Mark Evans, for 15 years says, what would it look like if it was simple? I think people complicate things too much and make it harder than it is. And I feel like more people need more instruction than they do information.
Right. Well, DJ, you're right. And that's what I've seen too, after coaching, hundreds of people as well. And understanding that and even the instruction part of it, I think a lot of folks understand what to do, but what you just said right there, I think is really key. It's the daily habits. It's doing these things every single day, the income producing action steps that we need to take every day. And I think that's where most people get in trouble, is they don't have the discipline, when they want to blame and they want to see you sitting there talking about your childhood, very similar to my childhood.
Yeah.
We'll sit here and blame things, or we're just not, the system's rigged. But what it really comes down to, DJ, it's doing the things that we're supposed to do every single day. And people just don't, I don't want to say they don't want to do it. I think they feel inside that they want to do it. But I think that and I don't think it's as simple as just saying, well, just go do it.
No, I agree. You know what, Brian, I got a saying that I've said for years. One of my good friends who's big on Instagram, Thatch Nguyen, you probably know Thatch. Anyone in real estate knows Thatch. We've been buddies for 15 years. And he said, he has the same thing, which is funny. Be, do, have. See, the problem is people go and do the work and expect to have what they have, but they miss the foundational step.
Be.
And what that is the be. What does be mean? I have to be the person I need to be mentally, physically, emotionally, do the work, do the things I need to do, and then I'll have the things I want to have. And that's the missing component. People go out and do the work, their mindset's jacked up, they have money misconceptions, they have fear, they have they self-sabotage because they haven't fixed the B part. And so they wonder why they're struggling. And because the daily routine, the manifesting, the gratitude, their energy's off, they're stressed, they're worried, they're in a bad mood, and they wonder why they're struggling on deals. It has nothing to do with the deal. It's because they haven't got to the B part.
It's hard. It's hard when, and you just said earlier that not a lot of chips in my favor was what you just said when you were growing up. It didn't have a whole lot of things going for you that were in your favor. And you had to break through and push through. Even the fact that it sounds to me, you correct me if I'm wrong, but it sounds to me like you had so much talent growing up. And I used to be a Division I college basketball coach where we'd see talented people, but they wouldn't make it. And the reason they didn't make it is because you can't just, what people don't understand about Michael Jordan, LeBron James, Kobe Bryant in particular, the greats, what people don't understand is how they were the hardest workers. They didn't just have the greatest talent. Talent can only take you so far. You have to actually put in the work too.
And you know what, Brian? I'll tell you this. This is great. So the guys that I played with that had the longest careers, right? That you might have heard of. You're a baseball guy. A lot of people, Marvin Bernard, Aaron Foltz, right? Not the best, not the most talented, definitely. Not the biggest, most definitely. But guess what they had? Doug Marabelli. These guys had one thing in common. One thing only. And what it was they weren't the most talented, the fastest, the best hitters at all. But this was the key. They believed they were better than they were. So they literally went, Marv goes, I remember Marvin going, hey man, when I get to the big leagues, I'll send you some bats. People are like, Marv, shut up, man, get out of here. Right? Got to he's in the freaking Giants Hall of Fame. He's one of my best friends. So the thing is you see this commonality in this trait. It's believing that you're actually better than you are. When you believe you're better than you are, you tap a higher level potential. When you tap that higher level potential, you're going to take more action. You're going to get better results. Those results are going to go, see, I knew I could do it, regardless of what anyone else is speaking in here. And then it's called the success cycle, right? Like Tony Robbins talks about the success cycle, but it's really about really, truly be, right? We're getting back to the be. Be so confident, believe that you are so much better than you are. And that's really the key, is belief. In sales, what is it? Confidence. How do you get confidence? You have to believe in yourself, right? So these things are key. Now, the Michael Jordan, the LeBron James, the Kobe Bryants, those are the guys that they believed they were better than they were, and they had the incredible talent. Those are the Hall of Famers. But it's the same thing, right? They still believed that they were actually better than they were, And so when you do that, you tap this kind of superpower next level of like it's like a superpower, man. And people go, oh man, they think you're confident. They might think you're egotistical. They might think that you're going to catch a lot of crap. But if you don't have that, man, in this world, as competitive as things are, if you want to compete with me, dude, you're not going to win. Like, that's just it, you know?
You have to have that mentality.
Yeah, you've got to believe that you are the best player in the field, right? And so, yeah, it all starts with the B.
You also said something earlier about you were learning by doing, and I think that's and you've mentioned a couple of things in relation to that. Like, a lot of times it's not an information thing. A lot of times we kind of know what to do. We understand what to do, and we have to go out there and mess up. Some of my biggest, and a lot of people talk about failure. And I heard John Maxwell speak a few years ago and heard him say this. I'll never forget this. He says, just because you fail, it doesn't mean you're a failure. And that right there for me, and I've already been doing this real estate thing for a while, but I think a lot of times, we can take things personally and get down on ourselves. Entrepreneurship's pretty lonely. And if we don't have anyone, we don't have that positive self-talk, and we don't have anyone pulling us up, it's up to us. And we can get pretty down on ourselves, DJ. How do you, when you get down, how do you pull yourself back up? What mechanisms do you have in place to get yourself back up and get going?
Yeah, man. So that's a good question. You know what? You hit on something. People identify like I failed, so I'm a failure, right? Like my son used to say, man, I suck at like he'd have a bad game, right? He was really good at, man, I suck. No, dude. Yeah, you sucked really bad on that game, but you don't suck as a person. That was just a game. So we identify, and this is the danger zone. We start creating our identity. This is why you see so many athletes leave the game and they're lost. They get into drugs, they commit suicide, they have, all kinds of issues because their identity, it was based on exactly that, right? I'm a big leaguer, I'm a winner, I'm a champion. You don't have that now, right? They're in trouble. So how do I do it? So here's what I do. I start every day off. I get up early, I have some coffee, I listen to some Bible on my iPhone. I go down, I swim, I get a great workout in cardio, I lift some weights, and I don't get on my phone. I don't get into, I control my morning. And the biggest thing that I do in the morning is when I'm swimming, when I'm smiling, I'm smiling, I'm feeling joy, I'm feeling happiness. And I put myself into you heard Tony Robbins talk about state, putting yourself in controlling your state. I've learned how to put myself in a happy state. And then what I do is that I really have gotten good at, and I'm continuously getting better, is I start my day in a happy state, and then I try my best to just carry it through the day. See, people say, Brian, well, your highs are high and your lows are low, right? So my vibe is I'm riding between a 7 and a 10 every day. My lows don't go to a 0. My lows definitely don't drop below 0. And that's because I've worked and worked and worked on putting myself into a good state and being able to control my state and not allow the everything's controlled internally. External stuff, right? When you understand this, the external stuff won't bother you. Oh, that deal didn't work out. Oh, the house burned down, right? Oh, it'll be fine. That client, this happened. This person, that happened. It's like, oh, they'll be okay, right? You just know that, like, for me, I've realized at my age, at 50, at the end of the day, everything passes with time, everything. So therefore, if I stress, if I worry, if I create more fear, I'm going to keep creating more BS. I'm going to keep creating more of the same. And this is the cycle that we get caught up in. It's easy to get caught up in it if you're not living in a heightened sense of awareness, and you're just reacting to everything that's coming at you instead of controlling the morning and setting your tone and setting your state. And then just do your best to carry it through the day, right?
You know, it's so funny we're having this conversation, which was not planned. I didn't plan to talk to you about all this stuff, but
Yeah.
you know, this is the people talk about, maybe just my mind goes to these places because I've had these conversations a few times on the show, and this is the most important stuff we could talk about. This is the stuff that actually leads to and leads to success and sustainable success that nobody wants to talk about. Everybody's talking about the how and how to go out and do a deal and this information and that information, when to be honest, none of that even matters if you don't have this part right.
Yeah. You know, Thatch probably.
Yeah. Well, I know of him. I don't know him.
Yeah,
Personally.
I can get him on your podcast. So he's got a saying, a Vietnamese saying. It's Phukau. It's fuck how, but it's a Vietnamese saying. Forget the how, basically, right? Exactly what you said. So you need this software. Oh, you need this, and yeah, it's that's not the problem. The problem is this, and well, one, yeah, you have to. People go, I'm grinding. Well, dude, if you're running 100 miles an hour north and you got to go 10 feet south, like you're going the wrong direction. You're using, and so for wholesalers, right? What I mean by this is you're using the wrong strategy. You're beating your head against the wall, trying to do something that it don't matter how hard you work, how hard you do things, that it's going to be tough because you're going the wrong direction.
Right.
So you got to go in the right direction.
Well, DJ, if you were bringing someone who's brand new kind of into your coaching right now, you know, that you're doing a lot of, you're bringing someone brand new into, what's the first thing you go over? Do you try to get them? You talked about confidence a second ago, and building confidence. Confidence, I think, comes from finding little wins, finding some success along the way. What do you try to do with people right when they come into your coaching program?
Right when first thing, vision board, perfect day, daily routine. So the vision board is this is me and my best life in all areas of my life in the future. Then you write out a perfect day. If I could live one day every single day, what would that look like? Right? Ken Clothier talks about this. I started doing this 13, 14 years ago. So you write out it's called the perfect day. You write out that perfect day and you read that every day. What would my perfect day look like if I could live this way every single day? Right? What would that look like? And you start reading that and you start feeling how that would feel. And this is part of, obviously a deeper talk on manifesting and manifestation. But so vision board, perfect day, and then a new healthy daily routine. And that's literally like step one.
This is the first thing you take people through. You don't teach them how to go find a seller. You don't teach them anything about real estate. This is what you take them through in the very beginning.
Yep.
So the people don't want to understand that, I used to say, I have the saying where and this is my opinion, but 90% of real estate success is psychological. 90% of real estate success is psychological, not the how to, not the go out. It's all up here. And you're sitting here telling me that you're starting with this.
Yeah, 100%.
It's almost like you have to like rework how people are trained to.
Well, yeah, I mean,
believe.
look at how we're right. That's a whole nother talk, but I mean, look at the stuff we're taught, right? Like the stuff in school that we're taught doesn't teach us how to, well, not only does it not teach us the things that we don't need to know, but it doesn't teach us about money management. It didn't, at least when we were growing up, or I was growing up, doesn't teach me about money management. It didn't teach me about how to have healthy relationships. It didn't teach me about, it's, hey, don't talk to strangers. Dude, if I don't talk to strangers every single day, I ain't making no money. Like that's how you freaking build relationships and connections, and you go to networking events and meet new people. So we're literally, a lot of times we were programmed, I should say, not our fault, but we were programmed from an early age. But at some point you got to go, okay, man, like I'm not playing the victim. I've got to do the work. I've got to do the work on me. I've got to be the person that I need to be, do the things I need to do. And then and only then I'll have the things that I want to have.
I want to go back to this learn by doing thing that you talked about a second ago, because I think a lot of people are scared to get moving and get going. There's a lot of fear there. What if I mess up? What if I put my foot in my mouth when I'm talking to a seller? I just remember putting myself in their shoes, and my student shoes, your student shoes, folks who might be watching this or listening to this. I remember messing up all the time. I remember my very
Yeah.
first wholesale deal. I used an attorney who never even heard of wholesaling. I had to teach the attorney what wholesaling was just so we could get the thing closed. You're talking about messing up royally. You don't ever want to be counseling the counsel.
Yeah.
But talk about learning by doing for a minute, DJ, before we go, and how important it is to get out there and just mess up, and it's a part of it.
Oh yeah. I mean, listen, you've got to realize, I think it's not, so whatever you focus on and you give energy to, you're going to get more of, right? So if you're scared of messing up or you're scared of failure, that's a whole deep dive. Let me answer the question. You guys have to understand that listening to this is that if you're taking shots, you're like Gary Vaynerchuk said, he was talking to this Indian guy, and the guy goes, yeah, I'm looking at doing this and doing that. And he's an analyzer, right? And he goes, well, how many? Oh, this is my third deal. He goes, listen, this is the problem. What, by the time you're trying to get one win, I took 115 shots and maybe I only made 80, but because I took so many shots, you could correlate this to dials on the phone, right? Whatever. But because I took so many shots, I had 80 wins in the same amount of time that you're analyzing your third one.
Right.
And so, but I missed a bunch, but that's okay. Right. And so I think that people that failure isn't failing, it's, hey, I need, it's actually part of carving success out. And it's just part of the process. And if you understand that, hey, okay, I know not everyone's going to say yes. I know that not everyone is going to be a buyer. I know everyone's not going to be a seller. And you can understand, hey, I'm okay with that. Knowing that going in, it's like you just have to step out in faith. And a lot of times, and I'll end with this here. I saw TD Jakes, who's one of my favorites, recently say he was talking with on an interview with I'll think of his name, but he said when you want to go to the next level, it's the only way is through a glass ceiling. That glass ceiling, when you break through it, it was Steve Harvey. That glass ceiling, dude, when you break through glass, it's gonna hurt a little, right? You might get some cuts. This is the failure. This is the people saying no. This is you might and you might actually hurt someone. Typically, you're going to really hurt someone that's close to you in some way, shape, or form. But if you want to go to the next level, the only way to do it is through the glass ceiling. And that's it.
Yeah, it's good stuff, man. I want you, before we do go, because we got about 5 more minutes, DJ, I want you to tell everybody what you're up to today. So you said you sold a business in the early 2000s. You did over 4,000 turnkey flips. It's incredible.
Yeah.
Sold over 4,000 turnkey properties. We're in a turnkey market here in Birmingham.
Lot of failure.
You have to do that many, for sure. And you've coached people. You've had all this success, DJ, and you've decided recently. First of all, you moved from California, where you spent most of your life, it sounds like, and then you moved to Miami to be a part of Grant Cardone's team. What are you doing today, DJ, and why?
Right. Yeah. So, for me, Brian. So what I'm doing right now today is, so I still have my coaching, right, that I do for people that are wholesaling. And by the way, my niche is out of state to out of state. So my real wheelhouse is showing people how to get cash buyers that are out of state and sell them properties out of state. That's my wheelhouse. Mm-hmm. So I still have that and do that actively, which is going great. I still do the coaching and mentoring. I recently formed a partnership with Grant Cardone and Jared Yellen at 10X Incubators. And that is what we're doing is we're building a next level app that's going to change part of it. I can't say what it is yet, but it's going to definitely change a section of real estate forever that needs to be changed and disrupted. So that's what we got going on, man.
It's awesome, man.
But yeah, and it's really right. Like, this is one thing real quick, Brian, is, you know, those of you listening to this, like, the people that you need to meet are not typically in like next door. They're not in your school, right? You've got to get out and go to networking events, go to other states, go to one of my best friends, JJ. He goes JJ Live on Instagram. This guy every single weekend is I'm over here at Grant's. I'm at JT Fox event. Where are you at now? I'm in Dallas on a TV show. I'm doing every week, right? Like, if you want to really see results, it's being understanding that the connections and the relationships that you need to have that are going to help you go to that next level are not where you're living, probably, right? They might be, some of them. So just getting out there, taking chances, taking risks, knowing that you're going to fail, knowing you're going to fall, but understanding that and saying, hey, that's okay. I'm just going to keep getting back up. And if you do that, man, and be okay, right? Have gratitude for what you have now, while at the same time being okay with wanting more.
Yeah. Good stuff, DJ. Tell everybody how they can get a hold of you. Where can they find you? On social media or website?
The best thing is my Instagram, D.J.Thielen. And then that's my Instagram. And then there's a link. There's my number is right on my Instagram. Someone can click on that and call me, text me, whatever. And there's a link in my bio. That link has, articles, features, all kinds of info on myself and other social media platforms as well. And that's the easiest way, through Instagram.
We will link it up in the description and the show notes, guys. Make sure you check out DJ, follow him on Instagram, and go out there, check what he's doing, check out what he's doing, and click on some of his stuff and see what he's up to. DJ, thank you so much for coming on the show. I know
and I want to say thank you. Yeah, and I want to say thank you, Brian, for just you know what, man, I really appreciate you having me on, but being a positive influence and wanting to put stuff out there that can truly help these people that need help.
Yes.
And so I want to thank you for doing that, man. I really appreciate you being a positive voice, in this world right now.
Awesome. Thank you, man. I appreciate you guys. And I appreciate you for joining us. Make sure you hit subscribe, like this video. We love you so much. And we're going to see you on the next episode.